Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. If you notice a little bit of an audio difference, I'm not sure if there is one or not. I ran a couple audio tests, and it seemed like everything was okay, but it's because I'm recording from a different location. So pardon me if the audio sounds a little bit different, but we are going to get right into this match today on 8 horses. If you don't remember this map, it's because it's not a very common one. It's not a very popular one, but it happens to be one of my most favorite. The amount of variety on this map, I'm just showing you the overlay here. As you can see, the entire width of this map is quite strange. There's this big naval lane that you can fight for over on this northern section, and it cuts through 2 of the lanes for the northern players over on the northern side, so it makes a little bit of an interesting map. There's this little bit of a middle high ground right here that the players will be fighting over in the middle of the map. For the red team, it's going to be Count Tharsis and Salmonudeo. Something or another like that. And then there's these southern lanes, which are more like 1v1s, sometimes 1v2s, so a little bit more of a personalized action, and it would appear that down on these southern lanes is where our red team leader is going to be fighting here. Hellshound spawning as an Armada commander, dressed in fire truck red, and going to be going for a bot lab. Should be pretty cool to see. Bot lab, at the very least, as an Armada commander, means we're probably going to see a couple of ticks coming out. Oh no, going straight into the pawns. Okay, gonna bypass the tick harassment phase in favor of just going for some pawns. It's going to be a little bit slower out on the field, but probably realizing that with the skill level of some of the players in this game today, maybe those tick harassments wouldn't be so as effective, so instead going for something a little bit sturdier just to hold the line here. Meanwhile, across the map, doesn't look like Rudax has decided that's the case, going for a couple of rascals here, the Cortex light scout craft, as a means of getting across the map and trying to do a little bit of damage. So we'll have to see which of these two strategies is going to pay out here in the long run. Now, representing the blue team, spawning all the way on the other side of the map, similar location, but just slightly ever so north of our red team leader, it's going to be 8v8D. I'm guessing a renaming of 8D, who's been a player who's been, hanging out around in the lobbies here and there, and we've seen them on the channel more than a couple of times. Definitely a very skillful player, and I'm expecting a lot out of them. So it's going to be interesting to see the clash between them on the southern side versus Hellshound here. 52 true skill up against 48. You know you got to be bringing your absolute A game to be playing something like that. Well, there go those pawns, completely shutting down those rascals that were built right there. It looks like they weren't microed across the map, and so it is going to be the vast majority of the forces going down right now for Root. However, there's going to be some blue reinforcements to clean all this up. This is nice. Sniping those grave robbers, sniping those Lazarus, all those res bots, getting those down. Very, very nice right there. Taking cover in the rocks too. It's pretty cute. Cool little micro move right there. Trying to repair the bot as well. Run away! Already some shenanigans here. Yeah, this res bot, it definitely got its value out in eating up that metal there, but it will eventually go down to these grunts that are running around and making some problems right now for Hellshound here. Now, quickly, I want to check in on the naval battle, because you know I love me some naval. Umfelgrumpf, that's an excellent name. Umfelgrumpf here, going for a very quick Elsa. Are we... Okay, so we're just going into an Elsa composition as opposed to a dolphin composition. There is a dolphin out on the map, and that's usually what we see. One dolphin does win against 2 gunboats here, but there are... Oh, now there's 2 dolphins. Okay, yeah, so the dolphin should readily win this battle right here. Similarly to the pawn and grunt battle right here, if the dolphins manage to gang up on these gunboats, it will be no matter of time before they are whittled down to pieces, and there we go. First engagement going in the favor of Umfelgrump. We'll have to check in later to see if Nihirisna. There we go. Working through the names. Always half the fun of doing any of these casts. Now, one important part of that, the southern side, is that there's a lot of metal really closely compacted together. So you have 2.0, 2.0, 2.0, 2.0. That's a grand total of 8.0 by my rapid calculation. Anybody who manages to capture all this is going to be up for a phenomenal economic lead, and right now Root X is definitely going to be needing it as a vehicle player right here. Wonder if you can hear my dog in the back. His name's Dusty, and he's a real ball of love, but he does like to bark. LLTs to secure this line, but Root is going for vehicles, so he desperately needs to get some of those metal extractors up and running so that we have enough metal to fund everything. Now I say that Root actually has a ton of metal in the bank, but no energy, so I wouldn't mind at this point seeing a couple of rather regular solar panels. And it looks like we do indeed have those coming up slowly but surely here. I think we need to prioritize this, maybe move the construction turret over there. I like that we have the construction turret up in the back line. It's going to at the very least provide a little bit of build power since the commander was forced to move pretty far forward here. Incisors going to hold the line against these pawns. I think the pawns are, yeah, there's enough pawns here to start doing some critical damage. Sniping to those incisors, definitely a worthwhile trade. Commander going to be stepping forward though, and there's not quite enough forces here to deal with the commander. Rocketeers already coming out though, so that's going to shut down a whole lot of those early LLT harassment sort of things, and no LLT harassment will be pushing any further forward than those Rocketeers have any say in the matter, just because of the fact that they can obviously outrange those. Grunts for 8D looking to find an angle here, but they are stopped by the missile trucks over here. Actually, I think those grunts probably could have jumped on those missile trucks, but 8D obviously working with imperfect vision, doesn't know exactly what's going on over there, and maybe didn't want to risk it all. 3 p.m. pushing really far forward here. This is a blue team commander well onto the red team side, and I mean, it's great if he can keep this metal extractor and keep this high ground and keep all this maintained. It's certainly going to allow for a very awkward position. Yeah, Tofi is going to be pushed back here by a whole bunch of Rocketeers from Angry Strawberry. She's going to start assaulting the front line here, but there's also a Shell Shocker here for 3 p.m. going to be stepping forward to try and deliver some long-ranged, high-arced bombardment. Centurion up here, that's a bit of an interesting choice. Big Bar deciding to go for some of those heavy laser boys. They're pumped out of the T1 bot lab, and they're not often seen. They're kind of a less utilized unit. But boy, do they put out some firepower. Yeah. They're sort of like a walking LLT. That's kind of how I think of them, kind of the role that they fill in my mind. Looks like we have a little bit of blitz aggression over here by Sleepiest Corn 19. Sleepiest Corn, very, very low in health. 10% remaining right here. Must have taken some Killer Janus shots, or maybe just been harassed by a bunch of pawns or ticks or something like that. Either way, looking pretty low right now. Has to be careful with that commander. Don't want to lose your whole army to a commander or two on the front line. Going up in smoke here. Nice micro right there. Grunt pulling back the weakened Elsaw here in favor of saving it. Trying to keep his composition alive. We're going to use this to repair. We're going to build a construction turret. Okay, that works just as well. Going for the construction turret so that we have a little bit of repairial action here on the front lines. Not bad. Going to keep those boats well up and operational, and there is a destroyer out and on the way. I was just about to say we need something to deal with that torpedo launcher over there, and I think the destroyer is going to be perfect for that job. Missile trucks eventually do get attacked over here on this front. There's a whole bunch of units that actually went down over here, but it looks like for the most part that aggression was cleaned up. We do need to see these metal extractors being rebuilt though. Got to keep those up and running, otherwise it's not going to look very good. And suddenly, Hell's Hound has done an excellent job of overrunning the southern side here. Pawns jumping on top of Root's commander, or trying to split here. Not going to matter though. Commander explosion too powerful. It takes down all those pawns right there, but that is going to be some juicy metal going back to our red commander right now. Doesn't even have a way to spend it. Just overflowing metal to the team. Not the end of the world, but it certainly, would be nice to go for a T2 transition off of this. Yeah, gonna start up a metal storage here. Eventually. He's got the energy production. Oh, and we stopped reclaiming. Okay, that's quite nice. Resbot's gonna start again, but yeah, that's not bad. There we go. Metal storage finally comes up. Only going to get the back half of that commander's worth of metal right there, but it's still going to be better than nothing. Hellsound also, with all the metal extractors here, is looking very, very strong on this southern side. 8D now moving in to take charge of this sector of the map here. Trying to use the commander to push a little bit further forward here. A little bit of a laser battle going on. Hellsound, I think, microing in the back. In the home base. Wasn't paying attention for a second there. I don't think he intended to let AD push that far forward. AD moving into the water here, probably hoping to snipe these metal extractors over here, and I think eventually will do, as the forces of Hellhound have been dealt with, meaning that this commander is on the retreat. It's a nice little metal advantage right there, but now the positional advantage is going to fall into the favor of the red team. I don't wonder if Hellhound might be able to sneak forward and get a D-gun. Oh, he's trying. Nicely done by AD, though, continuing to apply the pressure and counter-sniping the commander. Oh, that is just brutal. We did indeed start up that T2 laboratory here. We didn't get nearly as much of that metal from the wreckage as we could have, just because of the overflow. So we're probably going to have to eat the T1 if we want to finish this anytime soon. Yeah, there we go. Gonna start eating that up. T2 lab is up and running though, so you don't really need to do it, but it will give you the metal to pump out your first T2 constructor. Those are 430 metal apiece, which is almost the same cost as the T1 bot lab, which is pretty, well, it's a lot of metal to make that early transition from when you're still in that T1 stage. All said and done though, an excellent hold right now from the blue team, pushing very far forward on the southern side. Yeah, really need to watch a bit more. Not sure exactly what he's talking about right there. Either way though, AD definitely doing a great job of pushing forward here. Does indeed take down these metal extractors, so that's going to be now a whole bunch of metal going back to the blue commander, even going for some tidal generators. Don't mind it. Tidal speed 23 right now on this map. Very, very powerful. I should say right now. It's going to be 23 consistently. One of the powers of tidal generators is that they're consistent energy output for a very minimal cost, and oftentimes much more efficient than solar panels, and even sometimes fusion reactors, as is the case here. I think 21 is the cutoff for being more efficient than fusion reactors, so this is absolutely a map where you're going to want to go into a whole lot of those tidal generators. Big old battle going on over here. We have forces from both sides clashing over here. Our Seafoam Green commander pushing pretty far forward right now. Not sure if that's ideal. You gotta watch out. That commander's getting real close. Micro the ship's back. Uh-oh. I'm not sure if Nihirisna? I'm so sorry. I know I'm butchering this name horrendously here. I'm not sure if that commander was intending to sacrifice itself or was just trying to be a little bit of scouting maybe, but either way, commander stepped way too far forward right there and does end up going down. Now we need to see that commander eaten up. I would love to see a couple of res subs included in this mixture. Do we have any coming up on the backs here? I don't see any currently. Res subs would absolutely turn the tide of this battle. Whoever can eat up the most of that wreckage is going to get, well, a whole lot more value out of their army. Or their navy, rather, pardon me. Looks like the forces over here have been overrun. The laboratory sure to go down right here for the yellow player, hi. And yeah, eventually those tanks go down, but at the cost of that T1 bot lab. Certainly quite expensive here. Now, Sleepiest Corn, well, still with a decent army, but not as big as it once was, because of course it was all traded out. T2 Hounds. Choked on my words right there. Let me take a sip. It's been a while since I've actually done one of these, so I'm a little bit out of practice here. Not that it really leaves me. It's not exactly a skill that necessitates daily practice, but having it is certainly nice. Keeps my gullet well and active. Anyway, gullet talk aside, still on T1 on this northern section here. I'm a little bit surprised, actually. I feel like we should have gone into T2 by now. A lot of metal lying on the ground over here for the orange player, Chris Nee. And there we go, right on time. Starts up that T2 lab. I was just about to say, I think it's probably a good idea to start going into that. Cuts off T1 vehicle production, which is absolutely the right move. We have a whole bunch of medium tanks headed to the front lines, and there's a lot of metal caught up in T1 medium tanks right now, so it's a tough decision to make sometimes, but might be better to pull half of these medium tanks, like maybe these reinforcements right here. You can see that's 1,500, almost 1,600 metal worth of T1 medium tanks you could send back and turn into a T2 lab. Getting those T2 units out going to be much more efficient here in the long run. T2 is already up and running for Sleepiest Corn, starting to pump out a whole bunch of those T2 units and getting them out on the field. We have Mauser rolling out right now. Ooh, commander goes down right there. I'm guessing that was, yeah, Sleepiest Corn's commander does go down over here. Nice little snipe by our yellow commander. If he manages to eat up all that wreckage, I think that's going to be a nice little advantage. We also need to see these metal extractors sniped. I'd love to see these pounders going across, the riot tanks. They'll shut down those metal extractors real quick. And that's exactly what we need right now. We need to cut off as much eco as possible and reclaim as much as we can, as far as the yellow player should be concerned here. Construction ship eating up a lot of these boats rather than res subs, but that's fine. As long as somebody's doing the job, then it'll all be well here. I think Umfelgrumpf needs to be a little bit more aggressive right now. I think stepping forward and taking some trades is not the worst idea here, and I do like to see these destroyers starting to melt down these static defenses. At the very least, going to make the Seafoam Green player a little bit less comfortable sitting around out here, keeping the Navy all in one spot. Going to force them to make some movements here, and that might end up biting them in the back here. You can see, because these destroyers engaged first, it meant that they got to take down basically 2 frigates for free. And that means a lot in the long run here. Those frigates are a significant source of DPS. Gotta keep that in mind whenever you're making one of those naval battles happen. What a graveyard down south here. Catching the back end of a massive battle down here. It looks like a multi-pronged attack. We have pink, green, and tan forces, as well as some blue forces as well, all lying in the wreckage over here. 3 p.m. just walking the commander down. I guess not wanting to waste the metal that will be lying in these corpses here. Wow, 6.7 thousand metal lying in ruin on the low ground here. Certainly going to be well worth both teams trying to get their grubby mitts on, but for the time being, it looks like it's going to be the blue team with significantly more control over all that. Whoa, hounds have pushed back pretty hard down here as well. Looks like no T2 is available for either player. Despite a T2 economy, no T2 production. And these hounds are now making a mad dash all the way into the back line over here. The geothermal wasn't taken over here. Either it wasn't taken or it has been killed, but either way, the geothermal is not up and available right now for Root, and that does mean that, yeah, that's a significant amount of energy production that is no longer, well, maybe it was never available to the Lavender player here. Spacing on those energy converters will keep them from chain reacting, however, it does leave them quite weak whenever they pop, so not exactly the most difficult target to kill, but certainly a little bit less reactive here. Yeah, you can see the hounds come up north here, come up to the high ground there, expecting to see some sort of a geothermal available, but in fact, there is no geothermal whatsoever. Eventually, this is all dealt with by a whole bunch of seaplane gunships that were pumped out here. I'm not even sure where those came from. Yeah, I have no idea where those seaplane gunships came from. Maybe 8D built a seaplane lab down here and I missed it. Maybe they were handed over by one of the players in the water over here. Either way, gunships did clean all that up. Looks like we're going for a T2 transition here for Nihirisna. However, T2 is already up and running for Umfelgrum. So there's a critical timing right here before that first T2 unit hits the battlefield where our Maroon commander is going to have a significant firepower advantage over the Green commander here. There's a console eating up all this wreckage on the front lines right now. This should definitely be going back to the yellow player at the very least. Our yellow commander should definitely be looking to try and snag as much of this as possible. Yeah. That's a nice little grab right there by Sleepy's Corn, at the very least making the very best of a pretty bad loss right there. Yeah, I think this console probably ate its wreckage worth, or ate its metal worth in wreckage right there, and so paying for itself in the long run. And we do see a fusion reactor up and running here, so that's quite nice. Going to be a significant source of economy here as we head into the mid-game. What on earth is going on here? Couple gunships, I guess, have been paralyzed out of the air. That's quite funny. Don't know if I've ever seen that before. Ticks now being streamed on through as well, causing quite a bit of a problem here for the these forces in red. None of these particularly good at dealing with ticks. We definitely need to lean towards welders if we're gonna have a more effective time cleaning those up. Yeah, hounds and recluses just mostly gonna friendly fire each other. Oh my goodness, yeah, those Mauser doing more work against the red army than any of the green. Quite painful. Hellsound calling out 3 players versus him, and I think it's pretty much accurate, although he's essentially crippled one of them back here, so for the time being it's 2. But eventually, after they get up and running, it is gonna be 3. Now oftentimes I see people say that, and it's a valid complaint, right? It's a valid thing to bring up, but what do you actually do about your opponent or your teammate saying that they're 3 versus 1? Well, one of the things you have to do is you have to look at who's actually fighting them and determine whether you can actually contribute in any sort of harassment there. And for instance, right now it's Angry Strawberry sending a whole bunch of tick swarm down there. Not so many of those expensive T2 units anymore, so that's not really as big of a concern. But certainly with 8D as well applying pressure here, what it means is that Kazil should definitely be moving their forces in and applying pressure to the blue commander over here, just to make sure that there's no more blue forces being routed down south there. Try and help out the ally rather than enjoying the relief of pressure. Whole lot of medium tanks swarming through over here. It looks like Tom 1286 has decided to pull the trigger and send a bunch of these medium tanks through. Not bad. A lot of them did die though, and there's a whole bunch of fiends as well that were available from Hi Ha Ho. And yeah, those feeds are burning their way across this slope here, taking down the T2 constructor. That's quite nice. Gonna burn away a couple of those T1 constructors as well. A little bit of a base trade sort of a situation here. But yeah, these medium tanks coming out of the water are not gonna have much of a chance. Oh, those lightning tanks putting out so much damage per second, and then that Mauser line firing from the back as well. Doing a great job here. Cleaning up those T1 medium tanks. Nicely held right there by the Orange Commander, just showing just how much more efficient those T2 are than the T1. Tremendously more efficient. Miles and miles more efficient. Getting very complicated around the entire map over here. Strawberry's army is moving in here to fight Kazil. Well, if they could snipe that commander, they could take out this entire composition in one fell swoop. Could be quite brutal. Whoa. The hits from those Mauser, that definitely hurt. Oh, Kazil's moving dangerously close. What a D-gun right there. Wow, manages to take out the entirety of Strawberry's entire force right there. The hounds all melt away and evaporate as the commander's explosion wipes them off the map. Absolutely brutal. Still a heavy laser tower up here, putting in some work. Blasting away some of those Mauser right there. Love to see it. Eventually all this will fall, though. That's a tremendous amount of metal lying in ruin right there. Starting to salivate at the mouth, thinking about getting all that metal under control. 7K metal, I hadn't even checked yet. Turn on superior metal vision, we can see. Yeah, 7,000 metal here, 7,000 metal there. Oh, 9,000 metal now. Everyone and their mother is enjoying bathing in the sweet, sweet metal riches of 8 horses. This is when resbots start to become very prevalent again, become very worthwhile to invest in. Start teching downwards into T1. Sounds a little bit weird to do, but oftentimes teching downwards can actually be a beneficial implementation. Whole bunch of tanks getting blown apart here by a fat boy, marching around, firing out of his heavy plasma snozzle. Incredible use of the Centurions here. At the very least, prominent use of the Centurions. Don't know if I've ever seen Centurions used in such vast numbers. This is not looking good, though. That is a whopping 10 lightning tanks moving their way across the battlefield here. There's basically nothing to stop this right now. Yeah, Big Bar actually has no units in the backline are being pumped out as reinforcements in order to shut this down. Oh no, looks like the tanks are going to head down south. They will encounter some medium tanks here. Not that the lightning tanks will have too much trouble dealing with those, but yeah, certainly want to avoid as much conflict as possible until they get into the juicy, juicy backline. Oh, they recognize, nice micro right there. They recognize the medium tanks are probably going to head around to try and intercept. So they pull back around into the other side here. Nice little catch right there. Very nice micro by Chris. Realizing what's going on right there and managing to turn the tide around a little bit. Welder's finally out right now. Those are going to be great for dealing with a whole bunch of these grunts. You can see it blast away those grunts with relative efficiency. However, it's not going to be able to deal with a grand total of 86 grunts headed directly towards it. Trying its very best. And trading magnificently here. Unfortunately, going to be overwhelmed by this swarm. We need welders, and we need them yesterday. Looks like Hellshound went for those sharpshooters, but didn't manage to get them bunched up in time. Bundled up in big enough number, that is. And at this point, yeah, those grunts are looking mighty dangerous. Heading across the map here in a grand swarm. Who needs T2 when you can just have more and more T1? Wow, those metal extractors really hate those grunts, though. Every time one of those pops, it does take down, I don't know, what was that, 20 grunts or so? Massive amounts of this composition melting away here. Finally, welders are being pumped out in mass, and they're going to do great against all these grunts. Finally cleaning all this up. What a mess, though. Good old T1 spam. Never fails. Strawberry has reclaimed this high ground here, making good use of that fat boy. Using it to apply pressure to clumped up units. Always the right idea with that thing. Fires a tremendous burst of plasma, and I would love to see it turn around and start firing at these tanks over here. Looks like it is interested in such. Oh, well. A little bit of overcompensating on the swing of the barrel there. But there we go. And the commander will be short to follow up here and make quick work of a lot of these. De-gunning down the rest of those medium tanks, and eventually that problem is resolved. Base has been destroyed over here. Big Bar has been blasted apart by those lightning tanks. basically no production left for our green commander. Naval battle has been won handily here by Umfelgrump. Love to see that. I'm guessing that the destroyer here, rather the battleship, turned the tides of this naval battle. An excellent expression of the minor advantage of the T2 coming out first here, and eventually shutting down a whole bunch of the, basically the entire navy of the Seafoam green player here. Landmines were built. Not bad. See how much value they can get. Well, yeah, okay. Gonna stall this line out a little bit at the very least. Twitcher trying to throw up some defenses. We also have a pitbull up right there. That's quite nice. Gonna start blasting away at some of those units that venture a little bit too close here. Looks like AD is not interested in people pushing down any further south there, trying to hold the line as tight as possible, making sure that, no more damage can be done over there. Eventually, the flow of lightning tanks was stemmed, and there will be no more aggression through to Big Bar's base here, but you can see that poor commander having to rebuild from the dust of his life, trying desperately to get some sort of a command post up and running here. We've got a whole bunch of T1 solar panels because it's basically all that there is. At this point, it wouldn't be too bad of an idea for one of the friendly commanders here to maybe realize that this base has been ravaged and hand over a whole bunch of these wind turbines, especially the commanders with fusion reactors or even advanced fusion reactors up and running. Here goes that dreadnought blasting away forces over there. Big clump of bulls here, getting kind of blasted by these hounds. Unfortunate, those bulls are very expensive. Not fun to lose those. Especially not inefficiently. Oh wow, you know what? Centurion doing an excellent job right now. I am thoroughly impressed with those Centurion and how well they held right there. Lightning tanks will get stopped here. There's a lot of medium tanks coming in as well, but Marauder are coming out from Strawberry, and she's getting ready to end this game, I do believe. Those Marauder are going to be thick enough in the armor plating to punch through most of the defenses here in the middle of the map. A lot of this is still T1. We have LLTs and beamers and gauntlets and all that sort of stuff. Marauders just don't care about any of that, so they'll be more than happy to punch through all that. It looks like the Marauders will be shown here. The medium tanks do spy them, and that's a good look because otherwise they would have been appearing out of nowhere, and the red team would have been scrambling to try and deal with them. The tick spam here. Quite a headache. Difficult to deal with. Very late anti-nuke. 26 minutes in. I know that's a bit of a funny criticism coming from me, but it is late. It is late by especially high-level standards. Sure, we certainly could have seen a nuclear launcher by this point. And it looks like Umfelgrump is gonna go for the kill. Sniping basically the entire base over here, using that dreadnought for maximum DPS here, focusing mostly on all of the structures over here and not worrying so much about the Buccaneer. Letting the Paladins clean that up, I think, is probably the right decision here, and eventually all of this will fall. This is a total victory for the naval player, so it's going to come down to how fast they can recuperate. Looks like Marauder now sweeping through this section of the map, ready to enjoy the reward of their production. Well, you know what? They are getting blasted apart pretty hard. Bull's out too. Bull's certainly capable of contributing enough firepower here. Oh, Spybot missed his mark just a little bit. And the final Marauder will go down. All things considered, a nice little aggression right there. Bull should have a field day dealing with these grunts right here. Oh yeah, this is going to be beautiful. Super, super efficient, those grunts versus, or the bulls versus the grunts right there. Efficient for the bulls, obviously. And now Marauder still looking for any kind of angle of attack here, but not really finding it. Nice bombing run right there. A whole bunch of these T1 bombers. The air rework is not enabled this game, so no fear for that. Yeah, a couple of those T1 bombers going to get shot down, but there's not a tremendous amount of anti-air here. Archangel's coming up now. Bombers change targets, though, and head directly towards the hot pink player's base. Sort of just carpet bombing the entire area, not really choosing a target all too expressly. Oh, these bombers are very grouped up. You got to be careful. Archangels do have a little bit of flak to them. Oh, okay. We missed the major targets here. Energy converters, build power, any of that would have been primary targets. Not going to happen today, though. And those bombers will be shot down. All right. Nice save right there by Hellshound, managing to keep that all alive with rapid onset Archangel production. Archangel's not exactly the pinnacle of anti-aerial defense. They're pretty bad. Whoa, looks like this base has been annihilated here. I totally missed it, but it looks like the missile ship that was brought along in the composition for Umfelgrump has managed to completely blow up the base for Tom 1286. That's frustrating. Losing your entire base to basically a harassment that you're never going to be able to counter. A lot of bulls now trying to push forward here, but they're in the water, which means that they can't fire effectively. Oh, and they're getting ravaged by the bulls up on the high ground here. This is a beautiful trade right now. Wonderful trade right there for Chris Nee, managing to hold off so many of those bulls in the from the Cyan player. That hurts a lot. Strawberry setting up static defense all over the place, and I actually kind of like it. It's one of those things that you don't think about all too often, but if you set up that static defense, it means that you don't have to worry about spending your APM microing units over there to defend it, right? It's a little bit more costly, but it saves you APM in the long run, which is probably well worth it, yeah. And I think Strawberry is managing to hold this entire middle section essentially all on her lonesome, just for the fact that, yeah, she has the static defense up and available and around just in order to prevent any little run-bys of fiends or grunts or pawns or anything like that. Any of those cheapo assault units. Looks like the sharpshooters have built up in enough number here that the push was a go. Managing to clear out a large section of this here. Resbots even. Gonna try and resurrect some of it. I don't mind that whatsoever. We have a lot of bombers coming in though. If those bombers can manage to hit those sharpshooters, it'll be pretty painful. Very efficient way of dealing with those sharpshooters. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case. The sharpshooters will pull back in time. We really need a Juno missile here. Stunting the flow of these ticks would be absolutely killer. Marauder thinking about going across the map. They're bundling up here a little bit. Yeah, it looks like they were just given a move command and then weren't microed further. There we go. Strawberry going to start moving them across here. I think there's probably more than enough Marauder to punch through the defenses here for the brown player, Tofi. Should be able to do that. Razorback's out to deal with the bulls over here. Not bad. Bull's very powerful still, so you have to respect them. They certainly can bring down Razorbacks in enough number, but if you micro the Razorbacks well, it should be no problem. Bull's having a field day against all these Marauder that are clumped up, but eventually it won't matter. Those Marauder are tough enough that they can punch through anyways, and they are going to find the soft underbelly of the brown player here in just a little while. A couple of resurrected Marauders going to head on over there. It looks like some Marauder aggression up north, though, going to take out the base for Chris. Not sure where those even came from. They must have sent themselves under the water or something like that. Going to D-gun. Oh, there we go. Going to D-gun down some of those there and manage to shut down a little bit of that Marauder aggression. It's not the only Marauder aggression, though, as there's some more running across the map here. Boy, these units are looking powerful. I think it was the very last cast, or maybe the one before that, Marauders played a key role as well. Yeah, it was on the new map. What's it called? Glacial Straits or something like that? I forget. It's very, very good. Big naval map, surprisingly. Now, I'd love to see some splitties here. Looks like we do have some. Yeah, some of these Marauders stepping into the back line. Well, one of the Marauders stepping into the back line. That's really all you need, though. Gonna step into the back here and start punching away at some of that eco. At the very least, the advanced geothermal going up over here is going to be a huge pain. Meanwhile, these Marauder are tearing their way down south here. Very, very low health. Oh, we're going to eat up two of them. There we go. Might get a third one here. It's close. Just barely getting it. That's a very, very close call. But meanwhile, the advanced geothermal goes up, takes out all of that base. And that's going to be all she wrote right there for the major part of the energy production for the Hot Pink player. Going to have to rebuild from pretty far behind at this point. Now, one thing that I always enjoy doing, if I'm playing in this naval position over here, is going for amphibious units. Going for amphibious labs and making some tanks over here. Always fun. Were those salamanders I heard? Oh no, they were termites. Interesting. Bit of a cheeky move right here, sending a couple of termites through. Sharpshooters having none of that, though. Yeah, they'll blast apart those termites pretty quick. Sharpshooter's the sort of multi-tool of the Armada toolkit. They can kind of deal with basically any problem, save for a whole bunch of T1 spam. Strawberry now has the Titan out on the field, though. Samanudeo. If Tan Commander here manages to D-gun this down, that would be tremendous. Getting the kill on that Titan would be... Oh, that was a beautiful D-gun set as well. You can see the straight line that those D-guns carved, wiping out all of the welders right there. Oh, that's so annoying to deal with as the red player. Yeah. Oh, a little bit of friendly fire right there as well. Oh, if we could get a D-gun on that Titan, it would be huge. It would be absolutely huge. Yeah, so this base has been completely shut down up on the northern side by the Marauders that have been running by. I'm guessing these Marauders must have been handed over. Yeah, I'm guessing that must have been what happened. Sleepy as Corn must have handed over those Marauders to the Cyan player so that they can get a little bit of value out with them. Advanced Exploiter, going to be holding the line over here. Nice. We'll eventually deal with that Marauder over on that side. Not bad. Titan taking some damage, but basically nothing on the thick skin of that heavy assault bot. Finally, the Tan Commander realizes this is his time to shine. Oh, whoa, a little early there. A little premature on that. And that Commander will go down. Uh-oh. Our German Commander D-gunning a little too soon there and getting blasted apart for it. Unfortunate. We were kind of relying on that Commander too. There's not a whole lot more that can stand in the way of that Titan right now. I'm looking for other Commanders that are available. Umfelgrumps is available, but it's very far north. It's not going to be able to get to that Commander in time. I think we're going to have to bring down this Titan the old-fashioned way. Blasting it apart with bulls. As many and as fast as we can. Which, to be fair, is not taking all too long. Bull's doing a tremendous job. Indeed. Down goes the Titan. Alright, nicely done. Yeah, this base is no longer existent. Archangels have long since moved out of the way, and that is going to be the red player, completely devoid of power. Also a problem because, yeah, you're going to need some power in order to provide for those welders that are firing on the front lines. It's a bit of a tricky situation. Advanced geothermal just came up again. Only to be bombed once again. A lot of advanced solar panels over here for the light pink player. This is a complicated match right now. Tons of pitbulls available over here on this side of the map, so it's going to be really difficult to incur forces over on that side. I realized that was there when I was talking about it in the or discussing the amphibious units. But still, I wonder if it wouldn't be possible to break through that line by just sending enough amphibious units over in that direction. Man, pitbulls kind of suck, don't they? Not even able to kill a tick just because of how fast it moves. Yikes. Maybe those need a little bit more AoE on them or something. I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, the tick swarm able to beat the entirety of a full-blown T2 defense over here. Absolutely devastating. Yeah, LLT is going to be way more effective against the ticks here. Just ridiculous. Beamer turret is the ideal solution, but yeah, gotta be quite difficult to get a beamer turret up in time, so I think the LLT in the meantime is gonna be more than well worth it. Massive push over here. The bulls marching forward to give the vision that those Mauser need to fire away. There's also some Marauder included in this mixture, just for a little bit of extra fire support here. We're turning towards the Titan. I really think this was the soft spot we needed to punch through here, but not gonna happen. Strawberry going to clean up this mess using her own T2 forces. That Pulsar also firing away for great effect. We have some Vanguards marching out on the field as well. Those heavy artillery spider bots available to the Armada faction. Very powerful. Pack a tremendous punch, especially against big clumped up groups of units, like for instance all these Tan units. And indeed, it looks like that's about all there is on the field. Yeah. That was the majority of the force here for the Tan player. They now have control over the middle of the map here, but it's not exactly going to be easy to push in any direction here. Again, that static defense just contributing so heavily all over the place. The fact that it can essentially anchor everything around here is making it very, very difficult for the red team to find any assaultable ground right now. What I will say, though, is that an air harass might be possible. If we could sneak a couple of bombers through and attack down this central fortification right here, bombers would absolutely shut down this T3 facility, at the very least taking out the build power, maybe even getting that fusion reactor and some of those energy converters over there. Could certainly be well worth it. Hard to remember to go for that sort of a thing, though, when you're in this kind of a back foot position here. Almost feels like going into air is too risky a proposition here. Looks like advanced fusion reactor. Oh, there go the dogs again. Advanced fusion reactor will be resurrected up on the northern side. Excellently done, by the way, to both teams here. Taking significant firepower, significant damage, and yeah, managing to bounce back from a lot of it. It's pretty cool. Always a bummer when you lose a teammate because their base gets destroyed. It really is only a minor bump in the road to a long and successful venture. Strawberry's sniffing out that there's probably one more source of power production available to the red commander, and indeed it's going to be that advanced Geo up here. Oh, we're going to split one? We have. Okay, so we split one Marauder off. Beautifully done right there. Wonderful bit of micro. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is. Oftentimes we see entire clumps of Marauders going and sending and sacrificing their lives for essentially no gain. Yeah, it really is a bummer. Looks like the defenses here fell eventually. Marauder going to sweep through the southern side. Geo goes up. The base of Kazil here being ravaged by those Marauders as well. T2 production facilities falling left, right, and center. The last bastion of any technology here is basically this kind of northern section, but even then, nobody really has that much production available. And it's all told in the eco bars up on the northern side. You can see blue pulling in almost 1,000 metal per second, whereas the red producing just about 330. This is rapidly turning into a very one-sided match here. Nice little bit of aggression over here. These Shuriken cleaning all of it up. Going to be stunning all of this. No anti-air included in this mixture, so Shuriken going to be essentially the perfect answer. And yeah, some Marauder being handed out over here to try and help out with the defense. Very nicely done. Giving the green commander here, the lighter green commander here, something to micro. Always lovely. Important to remember that you have teammates and they have APM and you can use them to expend some of it. They're expendable APM sources, which is always fun. This island has been helped tremendously, basically doing nothing but defending over here, making sure that yeah, nobody manages to break through. We've got Razorbacks, we've got Marauder, we've got all sorts of different units over here. Yeah, okay, so we saw the great transition right here. Handed out a whole bunch of those Marauder. But indeed, it's not going to matter. As the blue team manages to sweep across the southern section here. Strawberry absolutely killing it. Pushing forward with those Marauder and ravaging all of the bases here on the western side of the map, shutting down the red team's production. And gotta say, not surprised at all to see Strawberry winning the Destroying Units and Defenses Award. Very nicely done to our green commander today. Excellently done to everybody for sticking in the game, though. That was a absolute back and forth smackdown, and I love to see it. If you enjoyed, you can always hit that like button to show the support down below, or you can leave a comment, point anything out that I missed. There was a lot of explosions and a lot of action all around the map. Absolutely a action-packed venture here. And I love to hear whatever you guys have to say, whatever you guys contribute down below. I'm always a fan of reading all that. But anyways, thanks a ton for watching, and I will see you in the very next Beyond a Reason video. Peace out, folks.